If you are an old soul, you probably often feel alone, but ironically, you are anything but alone in this. This loneliness is a shared destiny that all spiritual healers on this earth actually have in common. Friendships? Close connections? These are rare, and there are 5 very special reasons for this. The first reason is that people like you often have deeper interests and topics of conversation that go beyond everyday life. While others might talk about what's on TV, you're looking for conversations that make you think. The second reason is this feeling of being different, as if you live in a world that doesn't really suit you. You can't explain why, but you feel like you've somehow fallen out of time, don't you? Then there are these deep emotions and empathy you feel. You absorb the feelings of the people around you like a sponge. It can be overwhelming to feel all that others don't even realize. And that's where reason number 4 lies: constant self-reflection. Old souls are often introverted, spending a lot of time on inner work. You don't just look at what happens to you, but you always ask yourself why? What does this mean for me, and how can I grow? Finally, there is this feeling of timelessness. It's as if the world is racing around you while you live at a different rhythm, as if the clock doesn't have the same meaning for you. But don't worry, as I said, you're not alone in this feeling. In fact, there are many like you, even if they are well hidden. And that's exactly why I'm here, to guide you through these reasons, to help you understand this journey and, more importantly, to recognize yourself in this story. So come with me, let's explore these 5 reasons in more detail, one at a time. Because if you know these feelings, then you may be further along on your path than you think. Now, let's delve deeper into the world of old souls. And so begins the journey of the old soul, your journey. Perhaps you have already sensed it, this deep feeling that you have been here longer than your birth date suggests, that you know more than you have learned, and that there is a wisdom within you that you cannot really explain. Old souls are not just people who have experienced a lot in a single lifetime. No, they carry a burden and a gift at the same time, the knowledge of many lifetimes, of many experiences. And that makes them special, and sometimes lonely. Imagine you are sitting in a room full of people talking about the latest trends, the newest tech gadget, or the current headlines. You try to participate, but something inside you feels out of place. Your mind is on deeper questions. What does it all mean? Why are we here, and how can I really make a difference? This disconnect often leaves old souls feeling isolated, as if they are speaking a language that no one else understands. You recognize this, right? It's not that you don't want to, but you just can't get the same joy out of superficialities as others do. Your soul craves more meaning, depth, connections that go beyond the mundane. And that's where the loneliness of an old soul begins. It's like you're swimming in an ocean, while most others are just splashing in the shallow end. This loneliness also stems from the fact that you understand life on a different level. People who know you might tell you that you are wise, or that you understand things they wouldn't even consider. But this wisdom, as beautiful as it is, also brings a burden, the feeling that you are going through life alone because no one is on the same wavelength. Your conversations aren't about what happened on the latest TV show, but about the big questions of life, the deep mysteries that surround us all. And then there's that eternal search. Old souls are always searching, not for superficial friendships or fleeting acquaintances. No, they're looking for people who truly understand them. The challenge? Such people are rare, and that means that this search is often lonely and frustrating. You know that, don't you? This constant desire for a connection that truly fulfills you. But the truth is that this search for like-minded people is also the way to better understand yourself. Because loneliness often offers the greatest opportunity for personal growth. There is a deep longing in every old soul to find someone who sees, feels, and experiences life the same way they do. But often this search takes a long time, maybe even a lifetime. But it is precisely this longing, this desire for understanding, that is the common thread that runs through our lives. It drives us to look deeper, to keep exploring, and to keep rediscovering ourselves. Let's start with reason number 1 and what you can do about it. Imagine you are sitting in a room full of people talking about the latest series, celebrity scandals, or the weather. They laugh, exchange ideas, and yet you feel the words pass you by without sparking even the slightest interest in you. You notice how you switch off internally. It's as if you're broadcasting on a completely different frequency, and trying to integrate yourself into these conversations feels like denying who you are. These types of interactions take an incredible amount of energy, don't they? You might play along, smiling politely, but the truth is you're somewhere else, far away, lost in thought about the deep questions of life. Who are we really? What is the meaning of our existence? These conversations that are going on in your head may seem too heavy, too melancholy, as others might call it. However, this desire for depth that you carry within you is rarely what other people are looking for in their everyday conversations. While you are pondering the cycle of life and death or want to fathom the secrets of the universe, many just want to chat about everyday life. And that creates a kind of invisible wall between you and others. Often, people react with incomprehension or even rejection when you try to address deeper topics. They may see you as too serious or as someone who can't take life easy. You don't want to dampen the mood, you just want to find meaning in the conversations. But that's exactly what often meets with disinterest or misunderstanding. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. You open up, ask a deeper question, or share your thoughts on something meaningful, and suddenly there's silence. The mood changes, and you realize that your counterpart either feels uncomfortable or wants to change the subject quickly. This misunderstanding can be painful. You're looking for meaning, for real connection, but what you get instead is rejection or disinterest. And this is precisely where the gap arises. The priorities in the conversations are just too different. While most people want to make everyday life easier by talking about light, carefree topics, you want to dig deeper, explore the unknown, ask questions that don't have easy answers. These differences often make conversations tedious for you. You feel trapped in superficial small talk while your mind thirsts for meaning. It's no wonder that old souls often withdraw. When most encounters and conversations remain on the surface and you feel that no one shares your yearning for depth, social life becomes an effort. Why waste energy when you know you won't get what you crave in the end anyway? Escaping from this superficiality becomes a protective mechanism. You avoid putting yourself in social situations that don't benefit you, that only tire and frustrate you. But at the same time, you reinforce the lack of real, deep connections in your life. Maybe you've caught yourself turning down an invitation because you knew that the evening wouldn't have anything for you. You would sit there, smiling, maybe even laughing occasionally, but inside you would feel more and more alienated. This escape from superficial encounters protects you from disappointment, but it also isolates you. And that's the dilemma. The more you withdraw, the fewer people you will find with whom you can really go into depth. But here lies the opportunity. By understanding why you often withdraw, you can deal with it more consciously. It's not about completely isolating yourself from the world, but rather about deliberately seeking out people and conversations that give you what you long for. Yes, these people are rare, but they do exist. You may not meet them in the everyday situations where small talk dominates, but you will find them in moments when the depth of life is given space. You are not alone in your desire for meaning and depth. And as we move forward in the story of the old soul, we come to one of the most central feelings that many old souls know deep in their hearts, the feeling of being different. It's not an obvious otherness, like an unusual dress or eccentric lifestyle. No, it's more subtle, almost invisible. It's this constant, quiet feeling that you don't quite fit into this world, as if you come from a different place or belong to another time. As if you are in a room full of people, and yet you feel like you don't really belong. It's not easy to explain, but maybe you recognize yourself in this feeling. It's as if the world around you vibrates to a different rhythm, and you hear a melody that no one else perceives. If you feel that this video has been of value to you so far, I would be grateful if you would share that value with a donation through the Super Thanks button below the video, as much as you feel is right and fair. Every gesture of appreciation is a precious gift to me, and it is your donations that make all of this possible. This feeling of being different often starts early in life. Perhaps you can remember as a child perceiving things differently than your peers. While others were excited about the latest toys or the next birthday party, you wondered why the world is the way it is, or maybe you felt the need to understand the deeper meaning of it all. This early maturity, which is so typical of old souls, often leads to you feeling alienated from other children. It's not that you consciously wanted it, but you were just different. Perhaps you quickly realized at school that you were interested in different topics than your classmates, or you preferred to talk to older people because you found their life experiences fascinating. The gap that separates old souls from others begins at a young age. Over time, this feeling grows stronger. While others grow up and conform to social norms, you question them. You see the world differently and may even be critical of the expectations placed on you. The conventional paths that many take for granted, career, house, family, may not seem like the highest goal to you. Instead, you long for a deeper, more individualized experience of life that does not follow the traditional paths. This unconventional view often makes it difficult for you to find people who share your thoughts and feelings. It's as if you're standing on a desert island looking for like-minded people while everyone else is happily lingering on the mainland. And then the misunderstandings begin. Old souls are often misunderstood. In a world that promotes extroverted, loud, and conformist behavior, you may be labeled as introverted or even difficult. You question what many accept as normal, and that makes it difficult for others to understand you. They assume that you are simply too quiet or not sociable enough, when you are just deeply immersed in your own thoughts. You see the world in a way that many cannot comprehend, and this often leads to social misunderstanding. You may even feel that you shouldn't even try to explain yourself because the people around you wouldn't really understand what you mean anyway. The feeling of being different carries another burden, the constant fear of rejection. If you've spent your whole life not fully fitting into society, it's only natural that you'll eventually start to wonder if it's even possible to make real connections. This fear of rejection becomes a constant companion. You know that you think and feel differently, and you have already experienced that this difference is often not understood or even rejected. And that's what causes you to maybe not even try to make new friends, because you don't want to experience that disappointment again. Imagine you are at a party, and while most of the guests are talking about everyday things, you wonder if you are even part of this world. You feel that you don't quite fit into the picture, and although you try, you hold back. You wonder if you should even have the courage to share your true thoughts, or if you will once again be met with incomprehension. And so you withdraw into yourself, perhaps even avoiding contact before it can even arise. But here's the crux. This fear of being rejected keeps you from finding the people who could really understand you. They do exist, these like-minded people who share your view of the world. But they are rare, and it takes courage to open up and not give up the search for them. Because what many old souls overlook is that being different is not a disadvantage. It is a gift, a special gift to see the world from a perspective that is deeper, richer in nuances, and full of meaning. But as long as you bury yourself in your otherness, this gift remains hidden. Yes, you may not always feel like the rest of the world. You may not be able to fit into the conventional structures that others take for granted. But therein lies your strength. It is your otherness that allows you to think outside the box and ask the bigger questions of life. And while it may sometimes seem lonely, it also means that you have the opportunity to find deeper, more meaningful connections with people who feel the same longing for depth and meaning as you do. This path is not easy, but it is necessary. Because there is nothing more valuable than finding people who see you as you really are. People who not only accept your otherness, but recognize it for the special and unique thing that it is. I'm happy for you that you have been with us on this journey so far. If this video has touched your heart or brought you new insights, it would be wonderful if you would really support us. You can become a channel member for that. It's easy to do via the link in the description below this video. Then you can see all new videos before they are public for everyone else. If you choose to do so, thank you. After all, we are all here to grow and learn together, and your support is the light that illuminates our path. And so we continue our journey into the heart of an old soul, or rather, into the depths of their emotional life. If you recognize yourself as an old soul, then you know that the emotional landscape you move in is more intense and multifaceted than that of many other people. It's as if you see the world in colors that remain invisible to most people. But this emotional intensity brings not only a deep understanding, but also a burden that many old souls feel every day. Most people feel emotions, that's clear. But old souls? They experience them as if they were bathing in the feelings, exploring every facet. A simple smile on a stranger's lips can trigger a deeper sense of joy, while a worried look can place the burden of the whole world on your shoulders. You may know the feeling of being caught in an emotional flood that others don't even notice. Where others may experience a brief moment of sadness, you feel a wave of melancholy that engulfs you completely. This emotional intensity, as powerful as it is, can often be difficult for others to grasp. And for you, it can be overwhelming. Imagine entering a room full of people. They're laughing, talking, joking, but instead of being infected by the lightness of the atmosphere, you feel everything. You feel the one hiding behind his smile, the sadness of the other bravely fighting through the evening, and the underlying tension between two people trying to remain polite. It's as if you can wear other people's emotions like a second skin, their joy, their sorrow, their insecurities. This pronounced empathy is both a curse and a blessing. On the one hand, you can understand people in a way that they may not be able to understand themselves, but on the other hand, this constant emotional connection can also be incredibly tiring. For many old souls, this strong empathy means that they withdraw from the world. Especially in larger social groups, where the emotional vibrations from all sides are pouring in on them, it can quickly become too much. The emotional energy in the air in such situations becomes unbearable for old souls. They feel like sponges that incessantly absorb the feelings of their surroundings until they are completely exhausted. Perhaps you have experienced this too. You come home after a social gathering and feel as if you have run a marathon even though you were just sitting and listening. It is the emotional overload that drains you so much. In this constant flood of feelings, old souls long for something very specific: emotional depth and authenticity in their relationships. You don't want friendships based on trivialities. You are looking for people who are willing to dive into the deepest waters of their own souls and connect with you on a level that goes beyond superficial phrases. You are looking for friendships that are true, that are not afraid to embrace emotions in all their complexity. But that's exactly where the problem lies. Such people are rare. Most people are afraid of this emotional depth. They are afraid to look too deeply into their own feelings, because what they might find there is often uncomfortable or overwhelming. Many don't want to deal with the intensity that you take for granted. They prefer to stay on the surface, where it's safe. But for an old soul, that's not enough. You want more, you need more. And when you realize that the people around you don't share or understand this depth, an old soul often withdraws even further. This is the loneliness of understanding. You know that you can feel more deeply than most people allow. You know that you perceive the emotional vibrations around you when others ignore or are unaware of them. It's a constant balancing act between the longing for deep connections and the reality that few are willing to share this emotional intensity. You sometimes feel like a lonely wanderer, roaming the wide plains of life in search of like-minded people, always hoping to find someone who speaks your language. But this loneliness doesn't have to mean that you'll be alone forever. The emotional depth you possess is a gift. It allows you to see the world with extraordinary clarity and to understand people in a way that few can. Yes, it may sometimes be difficult to live in a world that often favors superficiality, but that is precisely why you have the ability to form genuine, deep connections when you find the right people. These people do exist, even if they are rare. It takes patience, courage, and the will not to be overwhelmed by the emotional burden. But when you find someone who not only understands but shares your intensity, a friendship develops that is deeper and more meaningful than anything superficial acquaintances can offer. And as you navigate these emotional waves, remember, your empathy is your superpower. It allows you to feel on a level that many people will never reach. It is what makes you unique and allows you to experience life in all its facets, the highs and the lows. And it is in that depth that you will ultimately find the people who truly understand you. And as we delve even deeper into the essence of the old soul, we come to another significant reason why old souls often find it difficult to form close friendships: their intense relationship with themselves. Old souls are not just people who wander through the outer world and gain their experiences. No, they have an urge to continuously develop, question themselves, and look deeper and deeper into their own inner selves. This brings us to reason 4, self-reflection and inner work. If you are an old soul, you know this inner urge for self-reflection all too well. It is not just an occasional reflection, but rather a constant, never-ending process of exploring the different facets of your own soul. You often withdraw into yourself, not out of any unwillingness to be with others, but because you know that the real answers can only be found within. Perhaps you have often felt that retreating to yourself is like a natural sanctuary for you, a space where you can truly gain clarity without the external distractions. But this urge for self-reflection is difficult for many people to comprehend. While others seek distraction or socializing to recharge from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, you go in the opposite direction. You seek quiet, alone time to organize your thoughts, analyze your feelings, and maybe even heal old wounds. The need for this inner work often leads you to consciously distance yourself from social interactions, not out of arrogance or aloofness, but because you know it is necessary for your own growth. And that is exactly what is often misunderstood. Because the path of the old soul is a path of healing. Old souls have been through a lot, whether in this life or perhaps even in previous ones. They often carry a burden that they seek to heal, and that healing requires space and time. When you focus on your inner work, you quickly realize that not every person or situation is conducive to your growth. And so you distance yourself from those who don't fit into your life, people who may be superficial or exhibit toxic behavior. It's as if you are peeling away the layers of your soul and removing anything that is not authentic or true. This conscious decision to let go of people who are not good for your inner peace may be difficult for others to understand, but for you it is an act of self-love. However, this process often leads to further isolation. This is because old souls have a pronounced inability to surround themselves with noise. And by noise, I don't just mean the obvious noise of the noisy world out there, but also the noise of superficial conversations, toxic environments, or distracting influences that could disturb your inner balance. While many people thrive in this hectic, noisy world, you seek out silence and focus on what is essential. You cannot stay in environments that disturb your inner harmony for long. This tendency to stay away from the noise often increases the feeling of social isolation, as you consciously remove yourself from situations that are not good for you. But there is a reason for this. Old souls have an unparalleled drive for authenticity. You can't do anything with false friendships or with people who only maintain a facade. You demand honesty, from yourself, but also from those you let into your life. Superficial relationships are a burden you are not willing to carry. You can tell immediately when someone is not being honest or is only interacting with you out of a sense of duty. This ability to recognize insincerity makes it difficult to find people who really fit into your life. But as soon as you meet someone who shares the same longing for authenticity, a connection arises that is deep and meaningful. All of this leads us to an important point: the search for balance. Many people look for a place to lose themselves in their relationships. They use friendships and connections as an escape from reality, as a way to distract themselves or to escape. But for old souls, this is not the case. You seek friendships that support you on your path, that help you to better understand yourself, that give you the space to continue to grow and heal. Relationships in which you don't lose yourself, but find yourself. But such connections are rare because they require a mutual understanding of the depth and complexity of life. Maybe you have already realized how hard it is to find such friends. You go through life looking for people who will not only give you their time but also their truth. You don't want distractions, you don't want superficiality, you want real connections that support you on your journey. But the truth is, these people are rare. It takes time and patience to find those who share your longing for authenticity and inner growth. But therein lies the magic. Because when you do find these connections, they are unwavering. They are based on honesty, mutual respect, and a deep understanding for one another. These friendships, rare though they may be, are the true treasures in the life of an old soul. They are like beacons in the darkness, showing you the way when you are on your journey of self-knowledge and healing. And so, as you continue on your inner journey, remember, you are not alone on this journey. It may seem lonely at times, but the search for authenticity and healing will lead you to the people who are truly right for you. On the journey of an old soul, we encounter one final, but crucial reason why friendships are often so elusive yet so significant for them: a sense of timelessness. Old souls have a deep inner connection to a concept that extends far beyond what most people experience as their daily reality. It's the quiet knowing that time doesn't need to be rushed and that connections will come when they're ready. This brings us to reason number 5, a sense of timelessness. If you're an old soul, you may know this feeling all too well. While others are rushing to make friends, form relationships, and get their social lives in order, you feel no such urgency. You feel like you have plenty of time, not just in this lifetime, but perhaps beyond. There is a quiet certainty inside you that the right people will come into your life at the right time. You don't feel panicked about not having someone to regularly go out with, because you know that true connections are rare but also enduring. In a world driven by speed and constant activity, this sense of timelessness seems almost like a contradiction. While others rush from one social event to the next to expand their circle of friends, you feel deep inside that you don't have to be part of this frantic game. You have learned to trust the flow of life, and this trust allows you to wait without feeling like you're missing out on something. You know that true friendships can't be forced. They arise organically when the time is right, and that may not be today or tomorrow, but sometime. This confidence that life will bring you the right people at the right time takes away much of the social pressure that so many others feel. You don't have to do relationships, you let them happen. The feeling of timelessness often goes hand in hand with an unconventional path in life. Old souls rarely follow the traditional paths that society dictates. Career, family, friends, for you, none of this is pressed into a rigid mold that you have to fulfill. While others fulfill the classic expectations at certain stages in life, school, college, starting a career, starting a family, you experience life in a completely different, individual order. Your focus is not on taking the next step because it is expected, but because you feel it. However, this often makes it more difficult to make friends in traditional social circles. You move away from the norm, and the people who cross your path often do so only for a short time before moving on. Life for an old soul is a series of cycles. It's as if you live in cycles, with people coming and going. And while these goodbyes can sometimes be painful, you understand that they are a natural part of life. You know that every friendship, every connection serves a purpose, sometimes only for a certain amount of time. Rather than dreading this loss, you have learned to accept it. You recognize that it is part of the natural order of the universe. Old souls know that there are always new cycles, new encounters, new connections that will come when the moment is right. This acceptance that everything is in flux gives you a serenity that many cannot understand. But behind everything that happens in your life, there is a deeper longing, the search for your soul family. You know, or at least you feel, that there are people with whom you are connected on a deeper spiritual level. They are not just friends, they are soulmates, part of your spiritual family that has been with you through many lifetimes. This soul family goes beyond what is understood as an ordinary friendship. It represents the deepest form of connection you can imagine, and the search for these people shapes your entire life. You know they are out there somewhere, and that certainty drives you to keep looking, even though you may go a long time alone. It is this feeling that drives so many old souls in their innermost being, the hope of eventually finding those deep, meaningful connections that truly touch the heart. You are sure that they will come, even if it may take time. These people are rare, but they do exist, and you will recognize them when the moment is right. In a world characterized by a fast pace and superficial connections, this patience and trust may seem almost old-fashioned. But for you, it is a matter of course. You don't feel time as something that is running out, but as a river that will lead you to the right places and people. You know that life will bring you the people you need, and that they will stay as long as they are meant to. And when it is time to say goodbye, you do so with an open heart, knowing that it is part of the cycle that you carry deep within you. So sometimes it may appear as though you are taking things slower, as though you are wandering through life at your own pace while the world races around you. But in truth, you are searching for something timeless, something lasting. You are not looking for the quick, fleeting connection. You are looking for the eternal one. And as you continue on this journey, as you move through the cycles of life and learn to cherish each encounter, you know deep down that the real connection, the one with your soul family, will come. Maybe not right away, maybe not in the way you expected, but it will come. And when it does, you will recognize it, just as you will recognize them. Because that's the gift of being an old soul. Time is on your side. Having explored the deep reasons why old souls often struggle to form close friendships, we now come to an inevitable part of their journey, loneliness. Old souls carry this loneliness like a silent weight, yet they also know that this pain is part of their path, and that there is both pain and beauty in loneliness. Loneliness is often an old soul's constant companion. You feel it in quiet moments when you walk alone through the world and wonder why it is so hard to find connections that really last. But while this loneliness sometimes feels like a burden, you know deep down that it is also a teacher. Old souls have the gift of drawing strength from this loneliness. They learn that the absence of distractions and superficial relationships create space for growth, for reflection, and for wisdom. Loneliness hurts, yes, but it also shapes. It smooths away the rough edges, brings clarity, and allows the true strength of an old soul to emerge. This pain of loneliness also brings an important lesson. Growth often does not take place in the company of many people, but in the quiet moments when you are alone. It is the times when you are confronted with yourself, when you look deep into your own heart, that make you stronger. Old souls know that it is this very isolation that gives them the opportunity to understand themselves better. While other people might feel crushed by loneliness, you use this time to turn inward, to ask the questions that really matter, and to grow in ways that would not be possible in a constant stream of outside influences. There is a wisdom that lies hidden in solitude. You learn that the company you need most is often your own. Old souls develop a special friendship with themselves because they know they can't always count on others to banish loneliness. Instead, you learn to appreciate your own company, to be your own best friend. In those moments when you are alone, you discover parts of yourself that would be lost in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. You find comfort in being at peace with yourself and understand that this inner friendship is one of the deepest connections you will ever have. And it is precisely here, in the quiet moments of solitude, that something magical often happens, a spiritual awakening. It is as if solitude opens the door to a deeper understanding of life and the universe. You are no longer just a part of the world, you become one with it. Loneliness allows you to shed superficiality and deal with the big questions of life. It brings you into contact with your true self and makes you realize that you are more than your physical experiences. Old souls use this time to develop spiritually, to gain a more intense sense of the mysteries of life, and to connect with the forces of the universe. Yet despite all this learning and growth, one thought remains: hope. Although loneliness may fill much of your life, you never lose hope of finding people who vibrate on the same wavelength. It is a quiet but constant hope that somewhere out there are people who understand you, who share your depth, and with whom you can build a genuine, meaningful connection. This hope is like a ray of light that shines through the entire loneliness process. Even though the road may be lonely, you know that these soulmates exist. And it is this hope that keeps you going. Loneliness may often be painful, but it is also the key to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. It teaches you who you really are, what you really need, and where you want to develop. It is the silent companion that helps you find your inner strength and realize that you don't always need to depend on others to feel complete. You learn that loneliness brings you the greatest lesson of all: you are enough. Even as you seek the deep connections that nourish your soul, you have within yourself everything you need to walk your path. And as you continue on, with loneliness as your faithful companion by your side, know that the day will come when you will meet people who share your depth, wisdom, and understanding of life. Until then, however, you live with the beauty and pain of loneliness, which shows you again and again how strong you really are.